read these. The book is much better. Affiliated with what? Oh, Willard Van Dyke, Dick's brother. Renee Deathnell. Let's see. Pieglish Glockenspiel. Not
a senior now, but although I am 3 years older than she is, I was just a lowly junior.
Oh, they just jumped right in, huh?
I'd been out sick for a long time, and then I'd gone to junior college. This real campus seemed wonderful to me, and it was such fun being with Eve again.
At first.
Naturally, she had to show me around and try to bring me up to date.
I don't need your whole life story, lady.
I was amazed that she wasn't engaged by now.
Why?
She was prettier than ever.
The number ones are good. Let's have 2 of those, please. Make my number 3.
1, 2, 3. Did they just learn how to
I don't
count?
see how you can eat so much so early in the morning. Are you on a diet by any chance? Of course I am, and you should be too. Every morning I exercise for 10 minutes.
If you can't
You can
put
start
in
right in
20
tomorrow.
minutes a day, you
Look,
don't
let's
deserve
get
a
this straight
hot
right
date.
now. You starve and you exercise. I eat and I watch you exercise.
Boom.
But it's really as necessary for you as for everybody else. Oh, cut it out.
If you want us
I
to cut it
wonder
out,
why Eve
then
and
we'll
I
cut
seem
you out.
different now. And I ended up by deciding that she was still the same attractive Eve.
Not a
full of
Russian
life,
clone
but
as I had
a
first
little
feared.
self-centered and a little apt to push people around. I liked her as much as ever, but
I like to be pushed
I wasn't so
around.
easy to push anymore. I didn't feel I needed her advice.
And I told her
Still,
so.
I didn't really resent it.
I mean,
Maybe
I did
it was that
really well.
course in
Okay, I
family
resented it a lot.
relations
Okay,
last
are you
spring.
happy now?
I learned that it's a good idea to try to change yourself first if there has to be a change.
Hey, have you seen the version of this movie for
Changing somebody
guys?
else
Oh,
is
no, I
practically
haven't. What's it
impossible.
like? Oh, well, it
But
doesn't
I must
exist.
admit I was curious to know all about Eve, and she was more than willing to talk.
Meow.
Tell me about the boys you've met. You were saying something always happened.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Lots of things.
Whenever I meet a boy, I start asking myself, is he right for me?
How dare you?
And I don't know, Mary. I really don't know. There was one you wrote about. His name was Alex, I think. Why did that fall through? That's just it, Mary. I don't know.
As previously
I can't for the life
indicated.
of me figure out what happened.
Here, let me show you exactly what happened.
Take Alex, for instance, she said. I was
Please.
down at Riley's one afternoon with the gang.
Demonstrably not what she said.
I'd heard of him, but I'd never met him. He was a football star.
Why I
liked
had
him,
never
and he liked
seen
me
one of
right
our
from the
star
start.
football players, I can't
We found plenty
explain.
to talk about, and neither one of us could figure out how we'd been on the campus for 2 years without ever meeting before.
It really is
He
hard
was
to
lots
explain,
of fun.
aside from bad screenwriting.
We decided to spend the afternoon together. It turned out that was just the first of a whole slew of afternoons.
People seemed to laugh more back then.
He was really sweet. And,
Concerts in the
oh, well,
park.
just nice to be with.
At first.
I guess I was a little proud, too, that a varsity football player was paying so much attention to little me.
Little old me.
Well, as I said, Eve went on, we saw
Wait,
quite a
Eve
bit of
isn't
each other.
narrating her own
But
story?
after a few
What, they
months,
couldn't
his
get the actor?
Popularity got annoying. We were never really alone.
Brought his pet
And he never
hamster
stopped
everywhere. It was
worrying
just
about his
weird.
appearance. Did his collar look better buttoned or unbuttoned?
Oh, definitely
Why, I could
unbuttoned.
have been wearing a
Unbuttoned.
little number by Dior, and he wouldn't have noticed it. But if there was a new girl in the place, he was all eyes and smiles.
So she's
It wouldn't
doing the
make any difference what
voices,
she
she's
looked like as long as
interpreting,
she had
the
some
relaying the
simpering
story.
crack
What?
to make about how well he had played on Saturday. I began to catch on that those forward passes could be used 2 ways.
He was gonna score it
Finally,
reverse
I had
lateral,
more
if you
than
know what
could
I
stand,
mean.
And I told
That
him
is
exactly
totally
what I
meaningless.
thought of him. He didn't take it as well as he took compliments. Said I didn't appreciate the importance of his career.
That's what she said, he
Career
said anyway.
indeed. Who ever heard of a wolf with a career?
Have you ever been to Hollywood?
And then there was Arthur.
I did not ask.
Arthur was different. Awfully nice, but awfully different.
He was a
The
bird,
gang
so our
called
love
him
was
the
doomed
brain
from the
because He
start.
was such a whiz at math. And he was always ready to help a friend.
You're different from other girls.
Less the
That's
same.
what you think. You're smarter. You're almost like a man.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, no, I'm very much the woman.
I don't think of you that way at all.
Oh, this
I
relationship
don't
is
get
going
you at all.
really well.
I know. You think math is exciting, but you really ought to get yourself straightened out.
Insert
You'd be
a
surprised
joke
how many
here.
things are just as exciting as math.
Now, really, you don't think there's anything wrong with me?
Oh, forget it. I've got to go now. We'll talk
Hey,
about
Rose,
some
you
other
don't think
time.
there's anything wrong with me? Ah, forget it. I
But
gotta
there
go
never
now.
was another time, said Eve. I was just another problem to him.
Just another source of pebbles.
And then there was Steve.
Ah, Steve.
Steve was Eve's boyfriend for a whole spring term. He was cute, she said, and really romantic. He had his own workshop where he made boats and things.
What?
Eve used to come by to pick him up after her classes were over.
Steve has his own workshop?
Come on, Steve, you're waiting for
Does he have a steady job? I mean, come on, this is the
Out
guy.
here for a while today. You can help me paint, and we can listen to some good music. It'll be fun.
Gee, help paint.
Is
That
your
sounds
idea
great.
of fun? I want to be with people.
Oh,
What's wrong with that, Steve?
I'm not a person.
Oh, come on, you'll have a good time. Hurry up and get on your shorts.
He never wanted to leave that old carpenter's shop. I tried to get him out once in a while, really I did.
You know, Eve, you can't make a man over like you do a room.
The tools are totally different.
But, Mary, don't you see what Steve needs is not you, but somebody else?
Ouch.
You know what?
You can suck
Then
it.
you'd like him. Say, that's a terrific idea.
I'm
Come on, we'll
brilliant.
go over there right now. Right now? Sure.
I thought it might be good to see some of these boys for myself.
Up close
Besides,
and personal.
He sounded nice, and I thought I'd better begin to make some friends on the campus.
I didn't want to be like Eve,
Sure enough, we found him at
unengaged
the
in
old
a
stand,
year.
lost in thought and a pleasant job. It didn't take long to get the introductions over.
Yes, we're
Steve
Mrs.
asked
and
us
Mrs.
in.
Dumbass.
It seemed like a nice place,
At
with a real
first.
atmosphere of its own, but evidently not one that Eve liked especially.
That's why she dated him for a semester. Oh my god, Eve has control of
Eve
the
is like that,
soundtrack. We're all
grumpy, full of
doomed.
energy. She never could sit still for long.
Huh? Say.
I'm different. Like Steve,
think we covered that
find it
already, thank
relaxing
you.
to keep away from groups sometimes and work out my troubles with my hands.
Whoa.
Steve and I got along well together.
Because we're
Though
both
I could see
different,
he
you
wondered
see.
how a friend
Yes,
of
thank
Eve's
you,
could
that's
be like me.
established. But not as
He'd
different
been
as that
thinking
other
there was
kid.
something wrong with him because he couldn't dance to Eve's fidgety tune.
That's
As
a
matter of fact,
delightful
Steve was
anecdote.
not the boy for me either, even though I liked him a lot.
A
It
lot.
would be too much like spending time with a twin brother.
Like
We're
Luke
too
and
much
Leia.
alike. I told all this to Eve the next day when we had a riding date.
You told her the
It was
story that
Saturday
she
and the
told
classes
you
were
that
over
you
at
told
noon.
us, and then you did what?
Now you see what I mean, Mary? All these boys are nice in their own way.
Unlike
They
you,
all have something I like, but it's only one side of their character.
just one part of them, as it were,
But the something Eve liked about a boy
so to speak,
can't be separated from the rest of his personality.
without a great
I
deal of
couldn't make her
pain.
understand that, but I did stick my neck out a little way.
I think it would do you a lot of good to meet someone you can't push around. You mean someone who pushes me around? No, I don't.
Well, yes, I
mean
do.
someone who's not afraid of you.
Eve, do you think corn is grass?
That's just like John. He thinks he's tough. I can't stand the sight of him. You're sure about that, Eve? Well, here's what happened last week. We drove out to the country together.
And I just
We had a
stared and
wonderful
stared at
time.
him. I love the
I
sight
can't
of
remember
him.
when I've had so much fun.
Hmm.
I guess we just clicked. Then,
We
just
clacked.
as we were getting to know each other better, he says, "Let's go home." Was I mad? Here I was thinking he really cared, and he does a thing like that. But why did he do it? Oh, well, you see, it wasn't his car. He promised his friend he'd be back with it before 6.
His
now,
friend
Eve,
who
you
he
can stay
stole
if
it
you
from.
want to. I'm not
You know.
going to keep George waiting.
So George is more important to you than I am, is that it?
No,
not the
George is
point.
my parole
George can do
officer.
without the car for once. If you really cared about me, you'd stay, George or no George.
Silent Rage. Story of the 50s. Do you have any idea how
want to break a
fast you're
promise,
going,
would you?
ma'am?
Why not?
Well, I won't. I'm not going to let George down, even for you.
You'll start sprouting wings if you don't watch out.
So she's comparing him to an
Move over,
angel?
boss.
You're so inconsiderate.
Yes, inconsiderate angels, that old
Someone ought
stereotype.
to take you across his knee and give you a good spanking. Might make you more human.
Maybe you're the one to do it.
Maybe, but I doubt it.
Let's go. We've run out of our sexual banter budget anyway.
He sounds like the best of all. Are you
Kinky.
serious? Why? You know you were wrong. How do you make that out? Well, just think about it for a second. What were you asking him to do? Prove that he liked me? What's wrong with that? That would never satisfy you.
Why not?
Well, that's not what you really wanted.
Well, what was it then?
You wanted him to do what you told him to do. That's what you always want, Eve.
That's terrible.
Could it be that
I
this
thought I'd
director
gone
had
too
some
far,
issues with women? I
But
don't
now
know,
that
just
she knew
maybe.
what she was doing, she could decide for herself if she wanted to change. That's always the hard thing to learn. That if any change is possible, it must be changing yourself,
Expect
You have to take other
nothing
people
from
as they come.
others.
or else leave them alone. I started thinking about Eve's boys.
A lot.
They had the same problem. Steve liked Eve, and he liked his hobby, too. But he couldn't have both.
He
It
didn't know
would be
what
easier
to
find a
do.
girl who liked staying at home.
So screw Eve.
While Arthur probably needs some help in order to change.
He's different.
Alex had already solved his problem.
The problem
girl
of
who
having
wasn't
a
always
healthy
competing with him for
relationship.
first place. She's not as attractive as Eve, but she thinks it's wonderful that he's so wonderful.
And isn't
She's
that
right
just
for him.
wonderful?
And John? Well, boy meets girl, boy loses girl. Maybe boy knows what he wants and on what terms.
Nah.
This girl doesn't know yet, but she's doing her best to find out.
And I'm doing
Every
narration
little
too. How do you like
experience,
it?
Even the unpleasant ones,
Ew.
helps me know a little more about myself.
And why I
And that's the
loathe
first
Eve.
step. There are some things about me that I can't change. And those are the things that some man will have to live with for the rest of his life.
Like my hate
so I'll
of
pick and keep those
anteaters.
things in
God,
mind.
jeez.
I hope
And
you'll do the same
anteaters.
for me.
Whoa, out of
We'll have to
nowhere.
stay friends for a long, long time.
Or it's the belt for him. A McGraw-Hill text film. That's about as fun as it sounds. Thank you, Henry A. Bowman.